Welcome to Ballot Battleground Nevada. I'm your host, Ben Margiott, a reporter at KRNV News 4 in Reno. I'm passionate about making politics in this critical battleground state more digestible to the average voter and pushing past the talking points to press politicians for answers. On this show, we take deep dives into the people, ideas, and debates shaping Silver State politics. A full dozen people are running in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate. If you listened to episode 15, you heard from 3 of the top 4 contenders. The frontrunner Sam Brown canceled on us and didn't reschedule, but we did interview Jim Marchant, Tony Grady, and Jeff Gunter. If you want to hear from them, go back a few episodes and listen to those interviews. Today, though, as promised, we've got a bonus episode for you because we couldn't fit all these interviews into just one show. You'll hear from Bill Conrad, Eddie Hamilton, Garn Mabey, Ronda Kennedy, Stephanie Phillips, and Vincent Rego. A quick note, Barry Lindeman did not show up for his interview time, and Gary Marinch never replied to multiple emails seeking an interview. That rounds out the full 12 candidates running to try and unseat Democratic incumbent Jacky Rosen. By the way, we'll be back in your podcast feed with a regular episode on Wednesday, but in fairness to all candidates, we wanted to treat all the same and post their full interviews. They have been edited slightly to keep the time roughly equal. We'll start now with Bill Conrad.
I grew up in California. I went right from high school into West Point. My dad was an NCO, active in a lot of different things. My family's been in the military 5 generations. My grandfather was born in the Philippines. My great-grandfather sailed from San Francisco to the Philippines. I think my uncle and myself were the first officers in the family. So grew up, went off out of high school, served 9 years active, ended up in the 129th Air Rescue Wing and went to flight school at 27 after 9 years of active duty. Then the war broke out, changed my whole life, finished up my active duty, did 31 years active reserve, 4 tours in Afghanistan. When I was young, I was a Special Forces officer, and then later on, when I went back to the Army from the Air Force, which is unique, a lot of my friends who I trained with were a grade or 2 ahead of me. And I had some great jobs serving my country, and both in Special Forces and Civil Affairs, and human train.
Why do you want to be in the U.S. Senate?
I thought I'd never run again. Before 9/11, I was a city councilman and vice mayor, and really had decided not to really get into politics again. And I sort of stumbled into it. I do a lot of editorials, I do a lot of podcasting, I do video work. I did a lot of research into different areas, and I think I can make a difference. I think my background is very strong. I have a top secret clearance. I had a TSSCI. I did a lot of interesting things. I saw a lot of unique things in the world. Worked in Honduras, Bahamas, Middle East, 38 months. Done a lot of stuff, and I think I can make a difference. I think I'm well balanced. I served 6 years on the city council before the war, so I've got a voting record. So I'm not ready to stop. Make a difference. Save the country.
City council in Reno here?
No, Modesto, California.
Okay, gotcha.
So my story is, I love the mountains and the skiing. My grandfather went to high school in Bishop and then went to Davis. And we grew up in the mountains all over the place, coming over here my whole life. And when I retired from the military after going back in, I made this my home when I was still in active duty in 2010. And 2012, I retired and worked up in the mountains, brought my kids here. They went to Reno High School. Both of them went to West Point from Reno High School, a great school system, great place to live. They like the outdoors and the mountains. I love Reno.
Yeah. What's the most pressing issue facing Nevada right now that you might be able to get at from the federal level, and how would you do that?
I think the whole country, the most pressing issue, there's a couple, but the finances of the country affect the state. They affect all the states. So we really have to try to balance the budget. But the other issue that's killing us right now is the border, of course, is tightening up the border, making sure it's secured.
Yeah. On the issue of abortion, do you support or oppose a national abortion ban?
I am pro-life, and I would do whatever it takes to help Nevada become a pro-life state, helping other candidates. So I would be pro anything I can do. It's been down to the states now. So it's a state battle, but I'm pro-life.
So if a national abortion ban were to come up, you'd be in support of that?
As long as it's constitutional.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I think it would be in some aspects, or protection of life.
One candidate in this race recently said that Nevada was missing out on a good economic opportunity by not storing our spent nuclear fuel at Yucca. Do you agree?
No, in fact, 6 years ago, I did a story, a podcast, video podcast. I interviewed both sides about Yucca Mountain. It was very clear back then that 80% of the people, especially as you go further south, do not want Yucca Mella developed. It's issues with the tribal issues, safety. And then if you look at the safety factors and how we store nuclear waste now, it's pretty safe when they bury it in local storage places without transporting it. There's some issues with transporting it, moving it, and I don't think our state really wants to be a depository of nuclear waste. And down south in Las Vegas, it's 80-90% of the people don't want it. Yeah. So I would absolutely support the people here. Yeah. And personally, I think it would be better to have it split up into smaller areas and other containment systems across the country, maybe Wyoming, other local places. In fact, in Orange County, California, up in the foothills, there's some places where some of the nuclear waste is stored, but it's pretty safe there. Maybe it's better just to keep it there.
Some in your party have claimed that there was widespread voter fraud in the 2020 election. Do you side with them, or do you believe Joe Biden is the legitimate, fairly elected president?
No, I'm pretty Pollyanna and have a belief in my country being honest and straightforward. But after really looking into it, and especially with the all mail-in ballot, I do believe there's some corruption within the system, and that we should go to an all-paper ballot system and voting ideally on the same day, and then have absentee ballots, maybe make a holiday. I think it would be better, and most people would trust it and be more competent about it. But I don't think one way or the other that I have that expertise to know or have the straight evidence. But I would like to see our systems improved to be paper ballots, same-day voting, and then you count by precinct.
Are you a supporter of former President Donald Trump? Have you endorsed him?
You know, I absolutely. When he got the nomination, I endorsed him. DeSantis, I actually supported DeSantis, but as soon as DeSantis dropped out, I went to Donald Trump. He's a Republican. Of course, I want Republican over the Democrat side.
Will you continue to support him even if he's convicted of felonies by a jury of his peers?
You know, I'd have to look at the case and look at the evidence, and then I'll tell you.
It's going on now. What do you think of the evidence that's out there today?
I've been trying to watch it. I think it's in his favor. I don't think he's going to be convicted.
If he is, do you still support him?
I'd have to look at what the end result is.
Should people who committed violent acts on January 6th be pardoned, as President Trump has said?
Again, I think you need to look at all the evidence and all the information. I do believe there's a lot of information, a lot of lead up to show that there's a lot of informants in the crowd, possibly corruption, and it was taken way out of context in that the takeover of the Capitol or the riot. It was really a riot. Anyone who broke or damaged or destroyed things, of course, should stay in jail, but those who just trespassed and went into the Capitol should not.
Is there an issue where you differ from the Republican Party stance, and why?
Generally, I support the Republican Party because they believe in smaller and less government. I would say I am much more founded in the idea of fiscal responsibility and removing the power from the federal government and trying to get it back to the states and local government when all possible. I was a city councilman. I think government closest to the people is best.
And then do you support the Washoe County lands bill? If you were in the Senate, would you vote for it? It would free up tens of thousands of acres of federal land to be auctioned off for housing and development up here.
You know, I think I could go a little bit contrary to a lot of Republicans in that case. I do support it. I've looked at it. And I think for Sparks, especially in parts of northern Nevada, I think it's a very good thing for our state. We still need to work at ways of trying to return more property and values back to our country. Back to our Nevada from the federal government, and look at opening up mining and other explorations within the state to provide more jobs, more work, and more wealth.
Now we'll hear from Eddie Hamilton.
I've been running for public office for quite a few times, and I am Nevada focused. I am in Henderson, and I'm running strictly as to undo inflation for Nevada families, because prices are just too darn high for people to survive. So I'm focusing on Nevada. And to do that, I have a plan to bring back the $2 a gallon gas at the pump. We'll do that by Nevada making its own gasoline, by drilling and fracking at the Elko County, White Pine County, and Eureka and Nye County, and we'll make our own gasoline, as well as jet fuels for the Nellis Air Force Base and for the Fallon Air Station. So that's my plan. That way we can lower cost of inflation. And I am a manufacturing engineering executive, so I know how to build factories. I know how to build, facilities. So the the thing that's stopping us is not money, it's politics. And we got to get as U.S. Senator, you can get that thing annually when we have that budget battle, when one vote is critical in the Senate. So we can release those leases in Eastern Nevada County. And on top of that, I'm also running as a peace candidate. And, it's a matter of conscience here, because when I see on TV all those little kids in the Gaza Strip got blown up and getting killed by the thousands, and we are complicit because what's killing them are bombs. The 2,000-pound bombs, they're killing about 25,000 children, and nobody here, not the media, not anybody, is concerned about it. It's a horrific situation. Gaza is only 25 square miles. Henderson is 107. Las Vegas about 80. So Gaza is like a small little town, and we drop over 5,000 of those bombs. So that is unconscionable. And as a U.S. Senator, I will stop the shipment. I think the Biden administration has stopped that because America is complicit in killing those children out there.
It's in your nickname, Eddienomics. I mean, do you believe that inflation is the most pressing issue facing Northern Nevada right now, or Nevada right
yes,
now? What would you do to fix it?
Okay, like I said, I have plans to bring back that $2 a gallon gasoline, and that will reduce inflation. When we make our own fuel, we also make fertilizer that could be used to increase the production of food products. And also, I have planned to build 400,000 what I call an IKEA-size homes, like 600-700 square feet, small homes. We can do that. The only thing preventing us is the local zoning law and the unavailability of the federal land. And as a U.S. Senator, you can get that in the negotiation. As a senator, you have to be a smart negotiator. And Jacky Rosen, the current senator, is not doing a good job because she doesn't fight hard enough. And you have the power as one among the 100 senators.
Would you describe yourself as pro-choice or pro-life, and how come?
Okay, I am pro-life, but unlike any other candidates, I have a special plan to keep both the unborn alive and to keep the mom alive. I'm unique in that sense because no one is thinking about this, but we just spent $100 billion for foreign aid. That should have been a loan, not cash, and we can spend very little, a fraction of that, and we can fund medical research in order to build facility where the unborns could live outside of the mom's womb, as early as 20 weeks. When the unborn is about 10, 15 weeks, could be, if the woman doesn't want to carry it, we can save the unborn, and at the same time allowing the mom, not unwanted pregnancy. So in a sense, I am pro-life because I'm saving the unborn. Okay, and about 50 million of them since Roe v. Wade have been sacrificed, and I'm also saving the mom. So this is a compromise for everybody to be happy with.
Would you be in support or against a national abortion ban then?
So on this one, I'm undecided because I want to hear what could be done to save the unborns and also to save the mother's life.
One of the candidates in this race recently said Nevada was missing out on a good economic opportunity by not storing America's nuclear fuel at Yucca Mountain. Do you agree with that?
Well, here's the thing. This issue has been around for 60 years. It is a misnomer to call it waste, nuclear waste. There's like a dog whistle for all the anti-nuclear folks. The best way to describe that situation now is the unspent nuclear fuel. In other words, the technology did not exist then to use up 100% of that fuel pellets. We have that technology now. I'm in favor of making Yucca as a reprocessing plant. This is a new technology. They can reprocess as unspent fuel, and then you can use it for the new nuclear reactor someplace. We have a smaller reactor right now. You don't need a big one. So, but they want to keep the issue alive. Obviously, I don't want Yucca Mountain to be the dumping ground because that's not good for Las Vegas.
Do you believe Joe Biden is the legitimate, fairly elected president?
That's the jury's still out on that. There's so many controversies. The Democrats, including the Democrats in Nevada, because they had the power. The power of the majority. They passed that Assembly Bill 321 back in 2020, I believe, or 2021. And basically without any Republican support. This when you change election laws, you better have bipartisanship. Otherwise, the election will be a question mark. So there's so many uncertainties. Now they're saying non-citizens are voting, and this is a power grab on the Democrat side. I heard today that Biden called those 10, 13 million illegal migrants across the border. He called them voters by Freudian slip, I guess. So it's hard to say because according to the power struggle, the Democrats managed to make Biden a legitimate president, but his presidency is pretty much in question because the entire election system has been compromised.
Have you endorsed former President Donald Trump, and will you continue to support him if he is convicted by a jury of his peers?
So I've been the original supporter of President Trump, and this conviction or the indictment, those are phony. You've heard of the term a ham sandwich conviction, right? A ham sandwich indictment, right? A grand jury can indict a ham sandwich or a submarine sandwich because it could be manipulated by the prosecutor. In this case, the one in Mar-a-Lago, I think it's got to be postponed after the election, and the other federal thing in Georgia is also falling apart. So I don't believe this indictment are legitimate. So I continue to support President Trump.
And then should January 6 rioters who committed violent acts in the Capitol be pardoned, as President Trump has said?
Well, it is hard to say. They have to analyze the evidence because the trials was also a show trial. It was people were convicted for 100 years in prison or 50 years. So it has to be reviewed. What I'm saying, they have to be reviewed. But if somebody is willfully hurting law enforcement, the punishment should be there. But other people who are not even, violently involved, they were, prosecuted. So I'm open on that one. I think some should be pardoned, and others, small amount that commit violence, should not.
Next up, Garn Mabey.
I'm Garn Mabey. I've lived in Nevada for 39 years. I grew up in a little town in Idaho called Rexburg. I went to BYU, later to Jefferson Medical College in Philadelphia. And then my wife and I moved here. We started our practice here. I'm a board certified obstetrician and gynecologist. I have 5 children. They're all grown, and now 12 grandchildren. I'm still practicing. I have participated in the political arena before. I served in the Nevada State Assembly for 3 terms, and I served as the minority leader the last term.
Awesome. Why are you running for U.S. Senate?
Because I want to make some changes. I feel like the current senator and our current administration has been too lax, especially with fiscal policy. We spend way more than we have. Every 100 days, we spend $1 trillion more than we have, and that's just not sustainable. I don't think they're working on the immigration issue the way it needs to be done. Lawlessness seems to be a problem, and so those are the issues that concern me. I also, as a physician, see the disparity in healthcare and the changes that need to happen there. So, as a physician, I hope to be able to make some changes in the healthcare arena.
Why are you the best candidate to take on, presumably, Jacky Rosen in November?
Because I think I'm most likely to beat her. I think the way my policies, the way I try to work together with everyone, I think I'm more likely, if I win, I think I'm more likely to win. Now, let me say that again. I think if I'm the candidate that amongst the Republicans that's most likely to beat Jacky Rosen. I think the others are too right wing, the MAGA group. I just don't think they have a chance in winning in the general election.
What's the most pressing issue facing Nevada right now, and what would you do at the federal level to address it?
The biggest issue is just inflation. I mean, we just spend more money than we have, which causes inflation. And it causes the prices of groceries to go up, the prices of our homes to be out of range for younger people. And so I think that's the most pressing issue. And so if elected, I would just try my best to rein in our spending.
Would you describe yourself as pro-life or pro-choice, and why?
I would say both. I'll explain why. I'm an obstetrician, so that's a little different than some of the candidates. So I've dealt with this issue a lot. I've never performed an abortion. I believe that abortion should be not used regularly, but I understand women that want to have control of their body. So I support the Nevada law. Allows terminations up to 24 weeks. I see patients that come in, they say they'd never have an abortion, or their mom comes in and they say, no, we don't believe in abortion. But then a year later, she comes in and she's pregnant, So all of a sudden they have a change of mind. And so they go ahead and have a termination. So I'm very much pro-life in my own views. I think it should be reserved for when the mother's life's in danger. There are cases where the baby has no chance of living. I've seen that, where the baby has no brain. There's no reason to make a mom or a mother, a woman, carry that to term. And so I think that's an instance where abortion should certainly be allowed. And also in the case of rape and incest.
If I'm hearing you right, it sounds like you would not be in support of a national abortion ban, because you said you support Nevada's law?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. One candidate in this race recently said that Nevada was missing out on a, quote, good economic opportunity by not storing our spent nuclear fuel at Yucca Mountain. Do you agree with that?
I disagree. I think we should not reopen Yucca Mountain. That's an issue that we've talked about years and years ago, right? And now it's, obviously there will be some in Congress that would want to reopen that, but I don't believe we should open it.
Do you believe Joe Biden is the legitimate, fairly elected president of the United States?
Yes, sir.
All right, easy enough. Have you endorsed former President Donald Trump, and would you continue to support him if he was convicted of felonies?
Yeah, I never endorsed him. I obviously, if it's between the two, President Biden and past President Trump, I will support President Trump, but I don't endorse him.
Even if he is convicted of felonies by a jury of his peers?
That's correct. I think both candidates have issues. President Biden's old. I just don't think he's competent. And President Trump's had some significant moral issues that I struggle with, but his policies have certainly been better than President Biden. So I don't have any other choice but to vote for President Trump.
Should people who rioted and committed violent acts on January 6th, should they be pardoned, as President Trump has said?
I don't think they should be pardoned. If they legitimately committed crimes, that they should be prosecuted, and if found guilty, pay for their crimes. I worry about some of those people that just went into the Capitol building and were there. They didn't do anything wrong, but some of them certainly did do wrong. So I would not pardon them if I were the president.
And then what issue do you differ from the Republican Party's stance, and how come?
I'm not a neocon. I am opposed to all the wars. I think this war in Ukraine needs to be brought to a close. We need to find a solution to this. So I just don't support all these wars. And we waste our money. And more importantly, our young men and women die. And I don't like that.
Now here's Ronda Kennedy.
I'm a mother of 6, including 11-year-old triplets. I'm a wife, I'm a civil rights attorney, and I'm a patriot. And I'm running for the United States Senate for Nevada. And I believe I'm the best fit, and I'm actually qualified for the job because I actually know the Constitution.
Why are you running for this seat?
I'm running for this seat for my children and my grandchildren. We're living in a different America today. And I remember growing up where the Constitution actually meant something. I learned it in school. We had to memorize the preamble and the first 10 amendments, the Bill of Rights of the Constitution, and practice it. And today, it's non-existent, and our country is steadily changing, and America is unique. We're a new country, but we're very unique, and I want to keep it that way.
Why do you believe you're the best candidate to face Jacky Rosen, presumably in November?
Because the Democrats are terrified of me. I pill off their votes. I appeal to everyone. I'm about right and wrong and about America, and I'm for the people. I know what it's like to live in this economy today with a family, and I relate to the communities that normally Republicans don't even go in, but I do.
What do you believe is the most pressing issue facing Nevada that you could try to get at from the federal level? What policies would you support to fix it?
It's the economy. It's jobs in the economy. And what I would do is I would utilize BLM land to entice manufacturing companies to come over to Nevada and set up shop here. Bring your business from China and come to Nevada, set up your shop. We'll give you a long-term lease on the federal land, like they do in the national parks. You get a long-term lease, and then after the end of that lease, we can return that land back to Nevada. So I would use creative ways like that to be able to bring jobs to Nevada to help the economy.
Would you describe yourself as a pro-life or a pro-choice, and why?
I'm pro-life, and I'm pro-life because I believe that there are different motivations behind, Planned Parenthood. I call it the Margaret Sanger's death clinics because when you look at the history of Planned Parenthood and why it was started, and then the disproportionately number of Black babies that are aborted, that's an issue. With my triplets, they wanted me to actually reduce or abort 2 of them, and I have 3 perfect 11-year-olds today, and so I do believe in life.
Do you support and would you vote for a national abortion ban in the Senate?
Well, I can't vote for a national abortion ban because it's unconstitutional. I follow the Constitution. That's a 10th Amendment issue, which means that goes to the states. I would not vote and would not support money going to Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics. Number one, I think an abortion is an elective procedure. Let's start with that. It's an elective procedure. So unless you're going to start paying for tummy tucks and breast enhancements, the federal government shouldn't be paying for abortions either.
Do you currently support Nevada's law, which protects abortion up to 24 or 26 weeks?
It protects abortion. No.
No.
I don't.
Yeah. Where do you believe the limit should be, or that there should be no exceptions?
Well, I think that there should be, the exception should be life of the mother, rape, incest. I don't think it should be that of convenience. I think more money should be put into education as far as, reproductive, as far as, birth control and preventing pregnancies. I think people just ignore that now and just use, an abortion as a form of birth control.
Switching gears, though, one candidate in this race recently said that Nevada was missing out on a good economic opportunity by not having and storing spent nuclear fuel at Yucca Mountain down in southern Nevada where you live. Do you agree with that?
No. I don't want my kids living around a nuclear waste dump. No. I don't think that Nevada should be the world's or the country's dumping ground for their nuclear waste. No.
Okay. Do you believe that Joe Biden is the legitimate, fairly elected president?
I don't know. You know why? Because there was no investigation, right? So there was election fraud. I know because I've personally experienced it in 2020 and have seen it. But unless it's investigated to the extent of, we can't definitively answer that question. Right now, he's sworn in, he's the president, so he's the president. But whether he was elected fairly, we can't answer that question until it's actually investigated.
Do you support and have you endorsed President Donald Trump in this election?
Yes, I support President Trump.
Would you continue to support him if he is convicted of felonies in the hush money case that's happening now?
Yes, because this is the thing. People say the hush money, but it's, people do confidential settlements every single day. And
But not to, the allegation is that it was to cover up this thing that could have harmed him in the middle of that election, to keep that and hide it from the voters.
to keep that hidden from the voters. I mean, but what actual crime is that?
Falsifying business records is
Falsifying,
what's being
right.
prosecuted.
So
yes.
falsify, so you see how they say it's hush money to cover up an incident that happened, but that goes to falsifying business records. So it's not the fact that there was a confidential settlement, it's the fact that they spent it to say like you have false business records. So no, and I believe that this is a witch hunt.
Should January 6 rioters convicted of felonies, should they be pardoned?
If depends on what they were convicted of. I believe that January 6ers were overcharged, and the people keep saying that insurrection. No one was charged with insurrection. If you look at the statute, the code for insurrection, none of that applies to the January 6ers. They were trespassing. That's probably what they should have been charged with. Those who entered the building, whether they have a defense or not, they should have been charged with their actual acts. So I believe that, yeah, you commit a crime, you should be charged properly.
So they should not be pardoned.
Well, I can't say I'm not going to say if you're a January 6er, you should just be pardoned.
Yeah.
I think
Let's say the ones that committed violent acts, against police officers and things like that.
No, violence should never be condoned. Okay. Those who were there peacefully protesting and got pushed around and that, then yeah, I mean that deserves a look to be pardoned because they didn't do anything but exercise their First Amendment right. Those who got violent and committed actual crimes, and yeah, I mean a crime is a crime.
Last question: what issue do you differ from your party's stance, and why?
I don't think everyone's evil. I don't think it's us versus them. I don't believe it's Democrats versus Republicans. I believe truly that it's the establishment on both sides against us everyday Americans.
And now let's meet Stephanie Phillips.
My name is Stephanie Phillips. I'm running for the United States Senate. I have lived in Las Vegas for 31 years now. And that whole time I've been in the real estate business. I own my own business. I started it 19 years ago. I am a mom of two. They're 19 and 22. And I'm a military mom. My son serves the country. And I got into politics. Oh, also, before I forget, I started a nonprofit in Vegas to help hungry and trafficked children. And I've been involved in charity work for 30 years, and they're all children's charities, and there's so much trafficking going on, hunger, and it just inspired me to start my own. So that's near and dear to my heart. But I got into politics during COVID because I couldn't stand what they were doing to us when they were calling us non-essential and closing businesses down and telling you had to get a jab to keep your job. All of these things were unconstitutional, un-American. So I hopped into politics, and now we just see there's no accountability in Washington. We see an open border that is an invasion happening into our country, and they're spending our money recklessly. I mean, the list is long why I want to serve Nevada and why I'm the best candidate for that.
That was my next question. Why do you think you're the best Republican candidate to take on Jacky Rosen in November?
Because I am different than all the other candidates. We have carpetbaggers in this race. We have opportunists. We have people that don't have anything vested in Nevada. And I have the most vested in this state. I have spent a career serving, representing, and negotiating for Nevadans. And I have skin in the game, and I have a dog in this fight. And all of my clients in my business trust me implicitly. And that is so important for a politician. and their constituents is to have trust in that relationship that you are going to go to Washington and represent them. So as far as Jacky goes, I am the best. If we look at strategy, the Democrats are running on abortion again. And who better to go against her than a woman, a mom, to talk about those issues? Because none of these guys in this race are going to be able to combat her the same way a woman, such as myself, is going to be able to combat her and debate her.
We'll get into that issue in just a moment, so almost a good segue. But before that, what's the most pressing issue facing Nevada right now? And if you were in the Senate, what would you do to fix it from a federal level?
You know, I've traveled all over this state. I've been in this campaign over a year. And everywhere I go, people say the border is an issue for them. It's the invasion into our country. I have been to the border. I'm one of 2 candidates, I believe, this cycle that have been to the border. I've seen it. I've interviewed dozens of illegals. I see where the wall ends. I see the problem. And it is an invasion. It is a crisis. We need to secure our border. We need to finish the wall. So that would be first, day one. Close the border, get it under control, deport the millions that they have allowed to invade our country, and stop funding these illegals. That's what I would put as top priority.
So you'd be in support of mass deportations of
Absolutely.
millions of people here illegally?
Yes, they have invaded our country by way of our own government has allowed this and used our tax dollars to do this.
Will you describe yourself as pro-life or pro-choice, and how come?
I am definitely pro-life, and what people, a lot of people don't realize that the law in Nevada is abortion is legal up to 6 months. The other thing that people don't realize is that the last cycle, when the Democrats put all of their commercials out there, that this politician or that politician was going to ban abortion, no, they're not. They're gaslighting America, and they're lying to people, because that's not true. No politician can ban it. If that were to change, that's up to the Nevada voters. And I believe that that's where that belongs. It does not constitutionally belong on a federal level at all. It's up to the people. And yes, I am pro-life, but my decisions are my decisions. And what another woman is going to choose as her decisions, that's for her to choose.
But a national abortion ban, which has been discussed and supported by some Republicans, would supersede Nevada's law. So if you were in the Senate, would you support a national abortion ban?
Like I said, it does not belong in the federal hands. Constitutionally, it is not an issue for them to determine, and the government, in my opinion, needs to stay out of these types of things, honestly. It is, and I don't think it's ever going to get to a federal ban, because we have too many issues as far as the health of a woman. What about rape? What about incest? What about the life of the child and concerns there? There are so many different scenarios and exceptions. And you know what they do when they write a bill, they put in all of these things. So to tell you what I would do, and without seeing, what they're going to put in there, no, there's way too many exceptions. Plus, it's not, I don't believe, should be in the federal hands.
So to be sure, opposed to a national abortion ban?
I don't believe that should be federally their responsibility. It's in the state's hands. You can't have it both ways.
One candidate in this race recently said that Nevada was missing out on a good economic opportunity by not storing our spent nuclear fuel at Yucca Mountain in southern Nevada. Do you agree with that?
I have answered that question a couple of times most recently, and the last time that came around, that failed, in large part because Nevadans didn't want that in their backyard. So what I would do with any decision that I make, I research, I do my homework, and I get the facts. And I realize economically and financially that would be great for the state of Nevada. But what's more important than money? Nevadans. This is our home. So when I get all of those facts and take them to Nevadans, let them give me their opinion. Let them tell me what they want. And because things have changed since, years ago. And there's a lot of unknowns there. I have a lot of questions about it. And being a United States Senator, you have access to a lot more information. And so that's something that, and I believe Nevadans don't want that in their backyard.
Do you believe Joe Biden is the legitimate, fairly elected president?
This question comes around all the time. All we have to look at is they say he had 81 million votes, right? 81 million votes. That would make him more popular, the most popular president in history. And I think that we can look at his poll numbers, we can look at his record. He is not the most popular president. In fact, I believe he's the most corrupt president that we have ever had.
Is he the legitimate, fairly elected president back in 2020?
We have seen, there has been so much evidence that have been brought forth of fraud, of people that have done things wrong. We still, in fact, I still see it today. Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, there's and even in Nevada, even here, all of these, the voter rolls need to be cleaned out. There are a lot of people voting multiple times. They brought all kinds of evidence forward. It's just, they're not hearing this. And the courts are not hearing these cases, which is a shame, because this evidence needs to be brought forward.
So no, you don't believe he's the legitimate, fairly elected
I think
president?
that there has been, not only in this election, there has been cheating in past elections as well. Ever since those machines came on board, I don't think that the machines, I think we need to get rid of the machines. We need to go back to paper ballots, hand count. We need to know the night of, like before. How come we can't have those results? We can, because we've done it in the past. And now all of a sudden they want to stop counting in the middle of the night, and then magically you see the graphs and you see all these votes that came in only for one person. It's mathematically impossible. If you look at the data and you look at all of the evidence, that stuff is impossible to happen, these anomalies.
You're a supporter of former President Donald Trump, of course. Will you continue to support him if he's convicted by a jury of his peers of felonies in New York?
I don't believe that he's going to. I think these trials are shams. I think they are witch hunts. They are political persecution. They are selective prosecution.
Should people who committed violent acts on January 6th in the Capitol be pardoned?
Anyone who commits a violent act and violates the law, they need to be held accountable. And without, I don't know which one in particular you're referring to, but these people that they have held in that DC jail and they have not had a speedy and fair trial, their constitutional rights have been violated, and it's very clear. These people that walked into the Capitol and, they didn't destroy anything. Most of those people, they did not vandalize anything. They walked through Capitol. They were led in by the DC police and the Capitol Police. You can see that clearly on the video evidence that has been released. And
but ones that committed violent acts, assaulting police officers, the president has said that they're political prisoners and should be pardoned. Do you agree?
Like I said, anyone who has committed a violent crime or like what you're talking about, they need to be held accountable to that. But this narrative that these cops, died, that they were killed, I think 6 of them they reported, that's not even true. So the cop that died the next day, I forget his name at the moment, died of a stroke. And the day before they said
being attacked by people.
They said he was beat with a fire extinguisher, but his mother got on camera and said out of her own mouth that he died from a stroke. So the media likes to turn the narrative. The media likes to portray certain things and show little video snippets of certain things, and it completely twists the truth.
Finally, we'll meet Vincent Rego, who is deaf and responded to our questions through a sign language interpreter.
Well, my name is Vincent Rego. I'm deaf since birth. I was born and raised in California until I was about age 13, and then I moved to Las Vegas. And I've been living here since then. I'm now 33, also soon to be 34. I'm a delivery driver. I'm a father of 3 kids. I'm engaged with my soon-to-be wife. There's not too much to tell about me. I'm really an open book. You can ask me anything.
Why do you believe, or why are you running for U.S. Senate?
Well, the main reason that I'm running is because I'm really frustrated with what has been happening in the state of Nevada for people who live here, people like me, um, who have experienced a lot of discrimination in the workplace. And I would like to change those type of things. And really the only way to change that is through the government, the federal government. The state, I haven't had any success. The second reason, I'm not really satisfied with the current state of US politics. Um, I don't really feel happy with elected officials such as Sam Brown. So I, I just want to run as an average person.
Why do you believe you're the best candidate to take on Jacky Rosen in November?
I've noticed that she's kind of deceitful. She takes credit for things that she didn't do. I've been noticing these things. She's not really a strong leader. I've tried to contact her in the past to ask for help for various things. Um, and she seems to be, she just likes to ignore my requests. She doesn't seem to want to do anything with the deaf community. And as a Democrat, she should want to advocate for the deaf community, but she doesn't. She doesn't do anything really for Nevadans. She's been lying. For example, she took full credit for reduced the reduced diabetes insulin. Reducing the cost to $35. But she didn't do it all herself, but she took the credit for it as if she did. There are many other instances as well.
What's the most pressing issue facing Nevada, and what would you do from the federal level to fix it?
Work, jobs. That's really one of the main issues. Cost of living and pay and salary are not equal. Cost of living is out of control. It's way higher than our wages, food cost, everything like that. But what we're earning at our jobs, it's not enough. It's not sufficient, and there are many families that get by with like 1 or 2 paychecks. But some families have to work 2 or 3 jobs. Like for me, I work 2 jobs, and one of my jobs, I'm an independent contractor. So that's really a total of 3 jobs, and that's just to get by. And that really shouldn't happen. Um, One paycheck should be enough to cover and support your family. And the second question is Yucca Mountain. The government wants to put nuclear waste and store it in Yucca Mountain, and I really disagree with that. I don't like that idea at all. Now, as far as what I would do in the federal government in DC, the process seems to take a little bit longer. But I would like to find a way to bring manufacturing and technology, for example. Like in Silicon Valley, for example. I would like to bring those kind of jobs to Nevada, and kind of expand that industry. And those type of jobs are high paying jobs, and I'd like to bring them to Nevada.
Would you describe yourself as pro-life or pro-choice, and would you be in support of a national abortion ban?
I don't support a national ban for abortion. I believe that women should have a right. Um, and I don't feel like the federal government should interfere with that, and let the states make their own decisions, state by state based on their needs. But, if women don't have support abortion access in their own state, I would support them being able to get abortion access in another state without getting in trouble or having any fines or anything like that.
Going back to Yucca Mountain, one candidate said that it's a good economic opportunity, and I take it that you do not agree with that. How come?
Right. I don't agree with that. The number one reason is the environmental damage that it could cause. Even if they have, all these various types of protections or barriers, you never know. It can get through, and that's really not good for the environment. The second thing is, the other candidate said it would, be good economic opportunity for the state, and I really disagree. And there's plenty of different ways to bring economic opportunity and growth to the state. Nuclear waste shouldn't be one of them.
You believe Joe Biden is the legitimate, fairly elected president?
No, I don't believe that he fairly won the election. There was a lot of misinformation going around, and it's really hard to find the truth. I did notice that there was a lot of absentee ballots that were missing, and I really don't feel like he won the election fairly.
Have you endorsed former President Donald Trump? And if so, will you continue to support him if he is convicted of felonies?
Well, I believe it's a political witch hunt. And yes, I did endorse Donald Trump 100%. Yeah. Compared with the two candidates, Biden and Trump, I want to go with Trump.
Should people who committed violent acts on January 6th be pardoned, as former President Trump has said?
Yes, I agree that they should be pardoned.
Is there an issue where you differ from the Republican Party stance, and why?
One of the stances of the Republican Party in regards to the labor union is one that I don't really support. I don't feel like large companies should be without a union, because in my experience with a labor union, that really helps to protect the workers' rights, their pay, and everything like that. I don't believe that the federal government should be involved with, taking away the labor unions or any of the labor disputes within various companies. I think having a union is very beneficial.
As always, if you have any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, anything at all, feel free to shoot us an email. My email is bjmargiott, Margiott, at sbgtv.com. Just put Ballot Battleground Nevada in the subject line. And as always, we'll ask you to leave a rating and a review. If you haven't already, that helps the podcast show up higher in searches so more people can discover our show. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back in your feed on Wednesday.